Dear children, welcome to the world of English. I hope you're enjoying all the English lessons. Happy to join again with you to another session with me, your English teacher, Vijaya Lakshmi. I'm going to deal the lesson What is my name? Part 2 from your 8th unit, C reading. But before that, let us revise the journey of the life of a woman. Children, let us have a quick recap of the first part of the lesson What is my name? A young woman, after getting married, makes herself busy with the household chores. Her husband is very much impressed with the way she deals her housewife duties. After some years, the woman realizes that she forgot her name. She inquires her maidservant, neighbor, children, and her husband too as to what her name is. But none could help her out. Instead, her husband makes fun of her. The woman gets disturbed, but at last her husband advises her to check her certificates, which will let her know her name. Let us enter into the glossary part. If we learn the new words and their meanings, the understanding of the lesson will become easier. Overjoyed, extremely happy, frantically, worriedly, or anxiously, strain, to injure. Parched, dehydrated, incognito, having a concealed identity, succeeded, achieved the desired aim or result. Chowdhury, it is a resting place, an inn or caravanserai for travelers, pilgrims, or visitors to a site typically linked to Buddhist, Jain, and Hindu temples. Now let us plunge into the text part. The housewife searched frantically for her certificates in the almirah, patu saris, chiffon saris, handloom saris, voile saris, matching blouses, petticoats, bangles, beads, pearls, pins, kumkum barinas, silver plates, silver containers to keep sandalwood paste, ornaments, all things arranged in an orderly fashion. Nowhere could she find her certificates. Yes, after her marriage, She had never bothered to carry those certificates here. Children, at the ending of the first part, you had seen that the housewife's husband, he told her to search for her certificates to know her name. So what she did, she opened the almirah. That almirah is so nice, so neat, everything arranged in an orderly manner. So she searched the almirah everywhere in the almirah, but she could not find any of her certificates because when she married and came to her husband's house, she did not get her certificates at all, nor she never bothered with those certificates all these days. Yes, I haven't brought them here. I shall go to my place, search for my certificates, and inquire about my name, and return in a couple of days. She asked for her husband's permission. Very nice. Must you go just for your name or what? If you go, who will scrub the house these 2 days? Said her lord. The housewife is so restless to know her name that she decided to go to her parents' place to get her certificates. She wanted to find out her name at any cost. That's why she asked for her husband's permission to go for a couple of days. Children, ours is a paternal society, male dominated society. For a woman in the house to go anywhere, she has to take the permission of the male persons in the house. It is a very common tradition which we follow in our Indian native houses. Yes, that was true because she scrubbed better than the others. She had not allowed anyone else to do that job all these days. Everyone was busy with their own respective duties. He had his office. Poor things, the children had their studies to take care of. Why should they bother about this chore? And she had been doing it all along. They just did not know how to do it, of course. When the woman asked permission to go to her parents' house for a couple of days, Mr. Murthy was worried about the household work. Who will do? Because they never had the habit of doing all these kinds of works. All these days, only this woman, particular woman, she used to do everything in the house without disturbing her husband or her children. She used to do everything that too very perfectly. But still, how to live without knowing one's name? It was all right all these days since the question had not occurred to her. Now it was really hard to live without a name. Just for 2 days, you manage somehow or other. Until and unless I go and get my name, I shall find it difficult to live. She pleaded with her husband and managed to get out of the house. She requested him to manage somehow and she went away to her parents' place. Why, dear daughter, have you come so suddenly? Are your children and husband all right? Why have you come alone? Behind the affectionate inquiries of the father and the mother, there was a strain of suspicion. Recollecting immediately the purpose of her visit, the housewife asked her mother most pitifully, Amma, tell me, what is my name? Children, the housewife seems that she never leaves her house and goes to her parents' place. Even if she comes, she used to come with her husband and children, not alone. But this time when she came alone, the parents they got afraid. So they were asking her, why did she come alone? What is it, Amma? You are our elder daughter. We gave you education up to BA and got you married with 50,000 rupees as dowry. We took care of your 2 deliveries. Each time we alone bore the expenses of the maternity home. You have 2 children. Your husband has a good job. A very nice person too. Your children are well mannered. The old people were worried when their daughter asked them pitifully what her name is. That's why they were so much worried as to what happened with this girl, and they started telling her whatever they had done all these years to her. It's not my history, Amma. It's my name I want. At least tell me where my certificates are. I don't know, child. Recently, we cleaned out the almirah of old papers and files and arranged some glassware in their place. Some important files we kept in the attic. We shall search for them tomorrow. Now, what is the hurry? Don't worry about them. Take a good bath and have your meal, child, said the housewife's mother. When the housewife insisted on her name and her certificates, her mother told that everything is being arranged somewhere else. They can search for them tomorrow. The housewife took a good bath and ate her meal, but she could not sleep. While scrubbing the house, humming happily, joyously, and making muggulu, she had never thought that she would have to face so many difficulties like this by forgetting her own name. Dawn broke, but the search for the certificates among the files in the attic had not ended. After eating her meal, when she went to sleep, she could not sleep at all. So she started searching till the very early morning, but she could not get the certificates. Now the wife asked everyone she met. She asked the trees, the ant hills, the pond, the school where she had studied, the college. After all the shouting and the wailing, she met a friend and succeeding in recovering her name. Like a mad woman, now she started asking everyone, whomever she met, the trees, the ant hills, the pond, everywhere she started shouting like what my name is. Later, she met a friend and she became successful in recovering her name now. That friend was also like her, married and a housewife like her, but she had not made swabbing the sole purpose of her life. Scrubbing was only a part of her life. She remembered her name and the names of her friends. This particular friend recognized a housewife. Thank God. Someone could tell the housewife's name. She is her friend. She is also a housewife. But she did not forget her name, nor even her friends' names. She did not make the household chores as the sole purpose of life. Sarada, my dear Sarada, she shouted and embraced her. The housewife felt like a person and totally parched and dried up, about to die of thirst. Getting a cool water from the new earthen kuja poured into her mouth with a spoon and given thus a new life. The friend did indeed give her a new life. Children, when you are walking in a hot sunny day and you are dying of thirst, if someone comes to you and gives you water from the kuja, very chilled, how do you feel? Like you have regained your new life. That is what happened to the housewife. She was restless and disturbed without knowing her name. Now, when the friend came and she called with her name Sarada, she regained her name and also her new life. You are Sarada. You came first in our school in the 10th class. You came first in the music competition conducted by the college. You used to paint good pictures too. We were 10 friends altogether. I meet all of them sometime or other. We write letters to each other. Only you have gone out of our reach. Tell me, why are you living incognito? Her friend confronted her. That particular friend, she not only gave the housewife her name but also told her her achievements from her childhood. She used to be a brilliant girl in studies, not only in studies but also in other activities also, like painting, music and all. She used to stand first in her class in these things. Yes, Pramila, what you say is true. Of course, I am Sarada. Until you said that, I could not remember it. All the shelves of my mind were taken up with only one thing: how well I can scrub the floors. I remember nothing else. Had I not met you, I would have gone mad, said the housewife named Sharada. Sarada returned home, climbed the attic, and fished out her certificates, the pictures she had drawn, old albums, everything she succeeded in getting out. She also searched further and managed to find the prizes she had received in school and college. Children, Sarada came home later and collected all the stuff from the attic, like certificates, pictures, albums, etc. Overjoyed, she returned home. You have not been here. Look at the state of the house. It's like a child tree. Oh, what a relief you are here. Now it is like a festival for us, said Sharda's husband. Children, after knowing her name and collecting all the stuff from her parents' home, Sarada returned her home. Her husband is so happy to see her back because now the house is going to be very clean now onwards. Just scrubbing the floor does not make a festival. By the way, from now onwards, don't call me Emoy Gimoy. My name is Sarada. Call me Sarada. Understood? Having said that, she went inside humming joyously. Sarada, who had always cared so much for discipline, keeping an eye on every corner, checking if there was dust, making sure things were properly arranged each in its correct and respective order, now sat on a sofa which had not been dusted for last 2 days. She sat there showing the children an album of her paintings that she had brought for them. Sarada, for whom neatness is the most important thing in life, did not care and sat on a sofa which wasn't dusted for the last 2 days. Moreover, she told her husband from now onwards not to call her as Yemoy Gimoy. Instead, she got a name, Sarada, which he should call from now onwards with that name only. And later, she showed her album which contained all her paintings to her children. See, children, in the photograph, you can see Sharada showing the album to her children of her paintings and all. For better understanding, let us check the summary of the text. Mrs. Murthy, on her husband's advice, searches the entire house for the certificates to know her name, but she fails to find them as she never brought them from her parents' house. So she goes to her parents' home, but her parents are worried as she came all alone. When she asks for her name, they don't answer properly. So she searches for the certificates, but before she could get them, she goes into the streets. A particular friend from her childhood named Pramila sees Mrs. Murthy on the road, recognizes her, and calls her by her name Sarada, and recollects her success stories from childhood. Sarada returns to her parents' home, completes the search, and collects certificates and other stuff. Overjoyed by restoring her identity, goes to her house and tells her husband not to call her as Emoy Gimoy and instead he should call her by her name Sarada. Let us check the question and answers of this text, children. What made Mrs. Murthy so restless to know her name? Mrs. Murthy forgot her own name in her scrubbing zeal. None of the members of the family, not even her neighbor and maidservant, remembers her name. This made her so restless to know her name. How did Mrs. Murthy's husband looked upon her desire to know her name? Mr. Murthy laughs at his wife's curiosity to know her name. He says that why her name is so important now. Instead, she can give herself a new name from now onwards if she is that particular about this matter. Do you notice any change in Mrs. Murthy in the first picture and Sarada in the second picture? In the first picture, Mrs. Murthy looks simple and obedient, whereas in the second picture, Sarada seems to be confident and independent. Look, children, the first picture shows that Sharada is so obedient, simple, dependent, whereas in the second picture, she seems to be confident. Do you find any similarities between Mrs. Murthy and the women in your family? If yes, list them. You have to write on your own, children, these questions answer. You have to begin with yes or no. If it is yes, you have to write the list of similarities between Mrs. Murthy and the women in your house. In what way they are similar? Why do you think the writer decided to focus on the question of married women's identity? The writer is a feminist who is concerned about the women's rights. That's why she had decided to focus on the question of married women's identity. Do you really think a woman can forget her name? What do you think is the intention of the author here? No, it can't happen that a woman could forget her name. The author intends that married women generally does not give importance to themselves and further loses their identity. Which part of the story shows that Mrs. Murthy feels her identity restored? The last four paragraphs in the text shows that Mrs. Murthy feels that her identity is restored. With this, children, we come to the end of this session. Not only the end of this session, but also end of your entire textbook. If it is in the regular classroom, what you used to do? You used to clap loudly, cheer loudly after the completion of the syllabus. But since this can't be done directly, you do it in your hearts. Hope you all take care of yourselves. Happy learning, children. Bye bye.